What if I told you that on one single Sunday night in May 2026, three women from the same small island nation swept every single medal on one of the most prestigious tracks in the world, and the woman who led them all was only 21 years old? That is exactly what happened in Rabat, Morocco. Jamaica went 1, 2, 3 in the Diamond League 100 meters, and not a single runner from any other country even came close. But to truly feel the weight of that moment, you have to start from the beginning. Because Tina Clayton's story doesn't begin in Rabat. It begins in a high school, in a teenage girl who hadn't even told the world she was coming yet. The first time people started paying attention was at the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi. Tina Clayton was 17 years old, still in high school, and she walked into a 100-meter final against girls who had more experience, more miles under their feet, more time in the sport. None of that mattered. From the moment the gun fired, she was in front. She never let anyone behind her feel like they had a chance. She ran 11.09 seconds, a personal best, and crossed the line alone. Her closest competitor that day was Beatrice Masalingi of Namibia, a seasoned Olympian. Masalingi finished second at 11.39. The gap between them wasn't just time. It was a message. This girl runs to win, and she runs from the front. But here's where things get even more interesting, because Tina Clayton is a twin. Her sister Tia Clayton is also a sprinter, and for a while, Tia was the faster one. At the 2025 Doha Diamond League, Tia set a world lead of 10.92 seconds, while Tina ran 10.02 behind her. The twin dynamic was fascinating to watch. Two sisters, same blood, same childhood, same sport, but Tia had the edge. Or at least, she did for a while. Because then came the Jamaican national trials. In the semifinal, Tina Clayton did something that made every sprinting fan in the world stop and rewind. She ran 10.86 seconds. Not 11-something. Not even 10.9-something. She went 10.86, and she did it right alongside Shericka Jackson, the two-time world 200-meter champion, a woman with a personal best of 10.65, and Jackson could not hold her off. A semifinal race suddenly became a statement. Tina Clayton had announced herself to the senior ranks in the most dramatic way possible. Then the final hit differently. Mid-race, Tia Clayton pulled up. You could see it on her face. Something was wrong. She stopped. And across the track, Tina kept running, not knowing what had happened to her sister, completely unaware that the other half of her world had just pulled up in pain. She crossed the line first. 10.81 seconds. A massive personal best. Her first ever Jamaican national senior title. Shericka Jackson finished second at 10.88. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, one of the greatest sprinters in history, finished third at 10.91. The wind reading was 0.1 meters per second. Basically nothing. No gift from the wind. That 10.81 was pure, unassisted Tina Clayton. And then, before the celebration could even begin, she ran straight back across the track to check on her sister. That image of a champion, mid-victory, running toward the person she loves, tells you more about Tina Clayton than any split time ever could. At the World Athletics Championships shortly after, she went even deeper. 10.76 seconds. A silver medal. The only woman who beat her that night was Melissa Jefferson of the United States, who crossed in 10.61. Tina was with Jefferson for almost the entire race. Only the final 20 meters separated them. She had become the fastest Jamaican woman in the world. The fastest Clayton twin. She had arrived completely. So now you understand the stakes when she walked into Rabat on May 31st, 2026. The conditions were not easy. A plus 0.3 meters per second wind, barely anything. Temperature was 23 degrees Celsius with 77% humidity. The air was thick. There would be no tailwind gift that night. And it didn't matter. When the gun fired, Tina Clayton's reaction time was 0.158 seconds. By the 30-meter mark, she had already built a lead. From 40 to 60 meters, the maximum velocity phase, the section of the race where the best sprinters in the world truly separate themselves, she posted back-to-back splits of 0.95 seconds. She hit 60 meters in 6.86 seconds. Nobody on that track could match her. World Athletics reported that she was never once challenged from start to finish. She crossed in 10.85 seconds, a season's best. The only woman in the entire field to go under 10.9. The Rabat meeting record, set in 2022 by Elaine Thompson-Hira, is 10.83. Tina missed it by just 0.02 of a second. And behind her, two more Jamaican women completed the sweep. Second place, third place, an entire podium draped in gold, black, and green. And here's the thing. She ran 10.85 in dead air in May. Her lifetime best is 10.76 under better conditions, in the heat of a championship summer. The math already points forward. The 2027 World Championships are coming, and every sprinter on the planet is going to have to answer one question. Can you beat Tina Clayton? Now, let's shift gears entirely, because while Jamaica was making history in the sprints, something equally staggering was unfolding in distance running. Something that made people stop and ask whether they were witnessing the final chapter of the greatest career women's middle distance running has ever seen, or the opening of something even more impossible. Faith Kipyegon is 32 years old. She was born on January 10, 1994, in Nandi County, Kenya. She grew up as the eighth of 9 children on a farm with no electricity, no car, and no training facility nearby. To reach her coach, she ran 10 kilometers from where she lived. On some days, she covered 30 kilometers before a single training session had even begun. Her coach would call local shops just to make sure she had food to eat. When she won Olympic gold in Rio de Janeiro in 2016, her parents could not watch. They had no electricity. That is where this story starts. That is who this woman is. She made her international debut at 16, competing barefoot at the 2010 World Cross Country Championships in Poland. She was the youngest finisher in the top 21. By the time the world began to learn her name, she had already been running like this for years. What followed was the most dominant championship record in the history of women's athletics. Olympic gold in Rio 2016. Olympic gold in Tokyo 2021, with a new Olympic record of 3 minutes 53.11 seconds. Olympic gold in Paris 2024, smashing her own Olympic record by nearly 2 full seconds with a time of 3 minutes 51.29 seconds. No woman in history had ever won 3 consecutive Olympic golds in the 1500 meters. She did it, and she made it look routine. For World Championship titles, wins in 2017, 2022, 2023, and 2025. She missed gold only once, in 2019. Just 15 months after giving birth to her daughter. When she came back from that, she said she had been afraid. She told people she thought it was the end of her career. And then she came back and broke 3 world records in a single season. In 2023, in a span of a few months, Faith Kipyegon broke the world record in the 1500 meters, the mile, and the 5000 meters. No woman had ever done that. Her mile world record, 4 minutes 7.64 seconds, set at the Diamond League in Monaco, still stands today. Her 5,000-meter world record made her the first woman in history to hold world records in both the 1,500 and 5,000 meters simultaneously. 3 months later, at the World Championships in Budapest, she won both the 1,500 and 5,000-meter titles at the same competition. First woman ever to do that double. Then the losses came. Beatrice Chebet beat her in the 5,000 at Paris 2024. Chebet won again at the Tokyo World Championships in 2025, and Ethiopia's Goodaft Tsege broke her 5,000-meter world record. For the first time in her career, a record she had built was gone. But here's what tells you everything about Faith Kipyegon. She came back to those same 2025 World Championships and won her 4th 1,500-meter title by nearly 3 seconds. The largest margin of victory across all 7 of her global 1,500-meter wins. She still owned her distance. But the 5,000 was unfinished business. On May 8, 2026, she announced her season opener. Not the 1,500, the distance she owns, the one she could win without breaking a sweat. She chose the 5,000 meters at the Shanghai Diamond League. She could have protected her record, protected her streak. She chose the harder distance instead. Her words were simple. I wanted to challenge myself early and build strength. I have still lots to prove. Faith Kipyegon does not say things like that unless she means them. And then there is July 4th, Hayward Field, Eugene, Oregon, the Prefontaine Classic. She is entering the women's mile. The meet record in that event was set in 1988 by American runner Mary Slaney, 4 minutes, 21.25 seconds. That record has sat untouched for 38 years. The women's mile wasn't even contested at that meet after 1993. Kipyegon's current world record in the mile is 4 minutes 7.64 seconds. She runs faster than Slaney's 38-year-old benchmark every single time she races the mile. That record is falling on July 4th. That is not an opinion. But here is the number that truly stops the clock. In June 2025, Nike organized an unofficial event in Paris called Breaking 4. The goal was to make Kipyegon the first woman in history to run a mile in under 4 minutes. 13 pacemakers, custom spikes, a one-of-a-kind speed suit. Every variable that science could control, they controlled. She ran 4 minutes 6.42 seconds, faster than her own world record. The spikes weren't approved by World Athletics, so the time didn't count. But when she crossed the line, she fell onto her back, looked up at the sky, and said, "I've proven that it is possible." On July 4th, the clock is official. Every split gets ratified. She already knows her body can get there. And finally, because one night of impossible sports is never enough, there is Jordan Anthony, a 21-year-old from Tylertown, Mississippi, population under 2,000. His original dream was not a sprint world title. He wanted the Heisman Trophy. Football ran through his entire family. His father, Robert Jones, was a football coach. But college football didn't go the way he planned. He transferred between 3 schools, Kentucky, Texas A&M, then Arkansas. And at every stop, the clock reset. Every new team meant starting over. Then in 2021, his father passed away. And instead of stepping back, Anthony moved forward. He chose the track. His reasoning was brutal in its simplicity. In football, defenders come at you, and schemes decide outcomes. On the track, if he loses, that is on him. If he wins, that is his work alone. No depth chart, no coordinator, just him and the starting blocks. In 2025, he had one of the best college track seasons in years. He won the NCAA indoor title in the 60 meters, then the NCAA outdoor title in the 100 meters. The first sprinter to pull off both in the same season since 2017. And in the quarterfinals of the NCAA Outdoor Championships, he ran 9.75 seconds. A former football wide receiver from a small Mississippi town, running 9.75. Then he flew overseas for the very first time in his life, got hit with a blood clot the size of a soccer ball in his arm, and won the world title anyway. Nobody saw any of this coming. Not the coaches, not the analysts, not the sprinting world. And that is the thing about these 3 stories: Tina Clayton, Faith Kipyegon, Jordan Anthony. None of them followed the script that anyone wrote for them. They wrote their own. And the 2026 season is only just beginning.